choice? I have a question for y'all. What is choice? Because
What do you mean by that?
Stephen, we started this, right? And when we started, he said he had to choose to, make the decision and have a purposeful.
Just like Haran just explained it.
So my question is there too much choice out there now? Meaning, back in the day, our parents didn't have social media, couldn't go out, didn't have, you were limited to the people that were in your town, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it is so easy to decipher so many people. So is it a matter of choice? And you're in the dating pool, so I would, I'm just curious if it is a lack of, it's not a lack of choice, but is it too much choice?
So let me caveat and say this.
There's
first.
pee in the dating pool.
No. So I did my ancestry and people got around. I don't know how they got around, but they got around. Okay. So I'm just going to say that. So if you want to go somewhere, you'll go. I just wanted to say that part. But I do think that there's a lot of choice. But I also think because there's so much choice, people's true needs and their wants are very different. And like he was saying, his wife is his other half. She balances him. People aren't looking for what they need. They're looking for what they want. Because this looks good, this tastes good, this smells good. That might not be any of the things that you need that will make you a whole person. Because married people, Christian speaking, that there's supposed to be two people to come together to make one person. They make the whole of themselves, right? The best parts of them are make one whole great person. Right. So if you're only going by what you want and you keep missing what you need, you'll never be whole. Ever. Mm-hmm. So yes, there's too much choice, but it's not to a benefit. Choice is great. Do I want the salad? Do I want the spaghetti? That's great. But when your choices are so vast,
junk.
You miss you don't have everybody needs something to focus on. You can't focus if there's 1,000 of them, but if there's 2, you can figure out what you want a lot quicker than when you have 1,000, right?
I was just about to say choices can be liberating or paralyzing.
Yeah, and in a dating world, they are paralyzing.
There's something that Felicia said on the phone that struck me, and what she said on the phone was, "What am I going to do? Where am I going to go?" And that struck me because at that moment she made a conscious decision.
He said the same thing.
Is leaving going to be?
It's the easy way out.
It's the easy way out.
Right. Yeah. Is leaving an option? So in her mind, there was no option.
My grasp.
We have to.
It was easier to love her than to fear what was out there, right?
Absolutely.
Like what was out there was more fearful to her than
to love her husband,
staying here and fixing what was broken. And do you think? And I'm gonna give you guys and open the floor. We'll open the floor to Tay Tay because I gotta ask her some questions.
We coming for you, Tay Tay.
I'm ready for it.
Do you think in hearing their situation, right, and knowing some of the differences out there in the world, do you think people make hasteful decisions when it comes to leaving?
They make decisions what sensationalizes and tantalizes and makes them feel all of the feels at the moment.
In the moment.
But once that moment is gone, they're on to the next one. So I look at it from like a globalized, everything is globalized now, globalization of this and globalization of that, and even relationships and dating have became it's a globalized narrative. So when you're stimulated by all of the pictures and all of the different apps and the internet and all of these different things, social media, you're constantly stimulated by the things that you want to see, so you can get in an echo chamber of what you want to see.
You better preach.
And the thing that again, my wants was older, maybe, dark skin or whatever. The thing that I like, it wasn't the thing that I needed for my life to prolong my life. So here comes Felicia, and she was everything that I needed. Now, if I had to depend on Tinder and Facebook and all of these different places, all these different places that will stimulate my hunger and my desire, man, I would be crazy. And the thing about it is that people don't want to take the thing that people don't want the thing that they need. They only want what they want.
Hey, Tay,
and it's an immature position to take as a grown man or a grown woman.
I hear you. Tay, you married a younger man, didn't you?
I did.
How much younger?
10 years.
Good Lord.
9.5 to be exact.
Was he hot?
Robbing the crib.
Yes.
When he was 20, he was 9.
I met him when he was 23.
Oh, look at you.
And he was 33. Almost 24. He was on the cusp.
The cusp. She made it sound professional. He's in the cusp.
So his brain just finished rewiring from puberty. No.
So what do you think about what's going on in the dating pool right now, and just what's going on with divorce and stuff right now? Because I mean, you didn't have a divorce. Your husband unfortunately passed away.
Yes, so and one of our good friends said to me, "At least you didn't have to get divorced."
Oh my goodness!
It was one of his friends. He was being silly. Good thing I have a good sense of humor.
You do. You really do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You got to have humor in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So but you had to be jumped in, gang jumped back into the dating pool.
Yeah, it was kind of wild, right? Because we met in 2008, so there were definitely, I think the apps were kind of just coming out. Like there was internet dating prior to that, right? Like eHarmony. If y'all remember, there was a place called Lava Life, which had a section for just adult friends, or God, it had such a good name to it. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
But back then, you could go on there without a picture, because I was working at Washingtonian Magazine, and we were like kind of in our mid-20s, and everyone was like, "You should get on Lava Life because you're really outgoing, so it'd be fun for you." And I'm like, "I'm not putting my picture on the internet. I mean, that's just crazy, right?" So it was just so funny. And then so I was like, 33 when TJ and I met. So November 2008, we, stuff was coming out, and he was a software engineer, so he was fascinated with dating apps and all this stuff. And he'd be like, "Okay, I'm creating a profile, but it's going to say I'm married, but I got to see how this algorithm works." And I was like, that's fine, you do you. And so he was really into it. But then the reality came. We were together for about almost 10 years, and he passed away. What was that? 2018, right? Is that 4 years ago? I can't do math anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
July 4th, which is
almost 5 years.
Yeah, almost 5. So I didn't date for a year and a half, and all these girls at work were like, "You got to get on Hinge. Hinge is the good one." I'm like, "There's good one, bad one." So I never did Tinder. I had Bumble for a second, and then Hinge. And at first, I mean, I'll be honest, it was really fun, because you're just like, "Huh, okay, yeah." And I did date younger guys again, predominantly, for a long time, and then 10 to 15 years.
And then you found the salt part.
Then, how long did I do that for? A year?
Then darkness showed up. Darkness.
Then I don't know. Then then it slows down. I think because when you're new on the apps, did you find that, Haran? When you were new to an app, you get a lot more
I think so.
Stuff coming at you. Yeah, and then it was kind of slower, and but Haran was the first person I dated for long term. There was maybe someone for a month or something, or two. But I was like, this is yeah. It was different because I'm like, you can't just go to the bar, and then COVID happened too, so it really changed.
Slowed a whole lot of shit down.
Yeah, how you dated.
That showed a lot of people who they really are. Let me just say that.
I guess it's easy for me to talk because I found a good relationship online. But I have a couple of friends. We went to a wedding of 2 people who met on Tinder.
Our friends, yeah.
Oh, them too?
Yeah.
Okay, well, them too.
Online.
But another one who were in one of my coworkers. So she's in her early 30s. He's in his late 30s. They met on Tinder. I also had friends who met on Match and a couple other places that have got married and are still married and have kids and all that. So I'm not going to say that the internet doesn't work because I can think of a lot of couples off the top of my head, and I'm in one. So I don't think it was the worst. But maybe if I hadn't met Haran and I was still out there, I'd be like, this shit sucks. I don't know. You can only speak from the experience you had, right?
So I have some interesting stats I was just reading on divorce.com. So the divorce demographics for adults over 15, right?
Did you say over 15?
Over 15.
Some places you got to get your daughter married.
Don't forget there's West Virginia, Utah, Wyoming.
Hey. Calm down.
All right. So according to divorce.com, right, 11.9% of people living below the poverty line get divorced. Hear this. 67.4% of homeowners get divorced. 67%.
I wonder if that has a lot to do with the fact that just something you said about COVID, right? Man, that period of time showed a lot. I remember making the comment to my one day. We were hiking Great Falls, right? And I made the comment to her, I said, we're getting out and walking, everything is great, because we saw this couple that was arguing like they were going at it. There was like a snake in a tree, and the guy wanted to go grab it, and it was a bad argument, right? And I made the comments like, man, this COVID shit gonna cause a whole lot of goddamn divorces.
63.3% of employed people get divorced.
Because you can afford the lawyers or the mediator.
The average age of people getting divorced is 45.8.
Oh, that's right
Midlife
before. Right before. I was
crisis.
getting ready to say right before.
Middle-age crisis.
23.2% of people living with children under 18 get divorced.
So people wait till they go to college.
Oh, a lot of people do that.
We're gonna be roommates until we get
Because then if I wait till they're 18, I don't have to pay child support and alimony.
Yep.
Boom.
32.6% of renters. This is interesting because get divorced. So it's half of the
I can answer
percentage.
that.
The percentage
Makes
of the
perfect
people,
sense.
the people that are homeowners.
Because a lot of people are like, we're roommates anyway. We live together. We're gonna get married and buy a house, right? But if you're just cohabitating, it's easier to get out of cohabitation than when you get married and buy a house. But people that are together for, some people are like together for like 8 years and like, oh, we've been together 8 years.
But
must
these
get
are
married.
actual marriages, right? Because
What I'm saying is they live together for like 8 years and they're like, we've been together so we might as well get married and buy a house. And then they get married and buy a house
and then realize.
There was a lady at the Giant where I used to live at in Springfield, and she and her ex-husband were together. They were together for like 25 or 30 years before they got married. They had kids and everything. They got married, and damn it, a year or two later, they got divorced.
So I'm gonna ask.
Weird, huh?
I'm gonna ask Stefan a question here, because I find this to be very, very interesting. Because of this stat, right? You said you were going through some financial issues at the time when you were also going through your marital issues.
Right.
11.9% of people living below the poverty line, and I'm not saying you were living below the poverty line.
I probably was.
But 11.9% of people get divorced. So was finances a factor in your decision-making process?
That played a slither of a part in it, but that wasn't the end all to be all. I know that I really love this woman. And I'm loyal. I was loyal to her, and she was my friend, or she not was my friend, but she's my friend, my best friend. And it's just like my heart is knitted to hers. Like I often think about what would I do if something untimely was to happen. I really don't know how I would be able to keep going. Like when my grandparents were married for 60 years, and my grandfather passed away first. And I want to say maybe a year or two later, my grandmother passed, because, they were literally just one person. And, for people to, this is just my belief, and it's nuanced, and everybody's situation is different. So I'm not saying that because someone divorced, they gave up. Because it could be a multiple, host of reasons why people get divorced. But for myself, getting a divorce, besides the finances, it's just like you just punked out. You because she may have gotten a little heavier, or because you slowed down on sex, or whatever the reason is that you give to want a divorce. It's like you gotta find a deeper meaning for being together, and thank God that I did find my deeper meaning for being with my wife. And you know, we have our issues now, you know, but nothing can be broken if you decide to stay together and if you just communicate.
Oh my goodness!
So
man.
it's really about communication.
Communication's the key.
Look, we're gonna wrap up this episode of the Real Energy Podcast, but that last point that was made there, I think really brings it home.
Yeah.
Because I don't really think you guys would have made it through if y'all weren't communicating.
No, not at all.
Or if they hadn't even decided to communicate.
Yeah, like if you guys
Selfishly.
if you guys just decided to go into your rabbit holes.
Oh, it's done.
And
wrap.
stick in your bunkers. I don't think you guys would have made it.
I'm glad you did that.
I truly do, brother. I tell you, I appreciate you coming today, man.
Thank you. If I could just add this one thing, my wife and I, we do have, I don't want to call it a ministry, but we have been we self-proclaimed ourselves as marriage influencers for the millennial generation.
There you go.
Amen.
So we have an IG page called We Are Together. It's also on Facebook, and we have these segments called Together Tuesday. You can go on our IG page and you can look at the archives of the different topics we talked about dealing with marriage and relationships. So follow us on Instagram. Again, that is we_R, the letter R _ together. And just holler at us, man. Send us a message, leave a comment on one of the videos that you see, and just tell us how we're doing, and we'll bring them back. We slowed down from doing the videos because life kind of like gets in the way, but we definitely want to be an influencer to couples that want to get married or have the desire to get married, and let us help you get there.
Big props, because like I said, I will close this episode out, and it didn't go where I expected it to go, but I am glad and very thankful it went where it went, because to me it showed and gave us all some hope in where life could bring us if we only slow down. We think about what is good for us, what is good for me, what is good for her, him, it, whatever your thing is. Just understand that grass ain't greener on the other side.
Never is.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Real Energy Podcast. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias and check us out at Real Energy Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Love, peace, and hair grease.
Yeah, good show.